Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table. Welcome back. You are listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Folks, today we have got a lot of fun in store for you. For one, Mr. Benjamin Brayshaw is with us, of course. How are you, Ben?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Always good to see you on the radio here.
Yeah.
Or hear you on the radio for all our listeners.
Right. It is in comparison to in person, where that can be, like a real person and really hard to kind of work with me, I'm sure. Hey, you know what? We have some special guests today. We don't get a chance to talk a whole lot or invite and get together with Sarah Vezzani and Eric Morton, but they do run and lead our property and casualty division here at Brayshaw Financial Group. And you might say, hey, why does Money on Tap and Brayshaw Financial Group financial planners have a property and casualty division? What is that even about? Well, there is this concept here that we are consistently working through and talking about on Money on Tap, and that's three-dimensional investing. And it really truly starts with protecting our clients first and making sure that we have an independent, perspective and access to this independent planning world, which really does start, for the most part, I think everybody starts in the insurance realm.
Yeah, I mean, this is a core piece, and I know it's not. Some people are probably listening saying, "Oh, I don't want to hear about auto and home insurance and so forth," but I got to tell you, we have two of, I think, one of the most competent, capable, and enjoyable people to work with in that industry. And I think, knowing what they have done for so many of our clients is a huge, if you're listening, you should talk to them just to find out if what you've got covers you properly and is at the most cost-effective manner, because we've had client after client, save money after working with them, and they found broken pieces in their insurance coverages, which is really a concern for us, because if one piece tumbles, and we talk about, we'll talk about that, but when one piece tumbles, the exposure to all of your other assets, including the investment assets that we're working so hard to help further you through and manage, become vulnerable. And that's, people blow this stuff off and they don't even think about it, and they just pay the same fee, and they got, XYZ toys that they never register or deal with, or, they have a new car they never talked. It's one thing after another. So I'm glad we have them on the show. It's something we should do more often, but it would be good for people to know. Sarah's been with us a little over a year. She's been awesome. Eric's been with us for a very long time. And I don't even know how long he's been, but, the guy was at my wedding, so I've known him forever. So when he actually officially started work, I have no idea. But those types of pieces are so crucial, and they're people that we trust and we know, and they have, between the two of them, have a ton of years of experience, knowledge, and breadth in the industry. And then they offer all sorts of carriers. They don't represent one company, which is fantastic, and what everyone honestly needs to have that exposure to.
Wow, well said. There was another C. There was. I think complementary was the other thing I was going to add to the C words that you were using to describe Eric and Sarah. But
yes,
there you go.
And she's hilarious. She's wicked fun to deal with. You're going to enjoy. Anyone that talks to her enjoys working with her. So that's. I haven't heard a slant any other way, but just cute and enjoyable. So that's a good option.
Well, they are truly artists in the world of independent property and casualty insurance, and so we look forward to having them on with us. But before we get too far down the road, hey, guess what? It is time for Money in the News.
Up first, we have a Yahoo Finance article, U.S. stocks. Tesla lifts NASDAQ to record high. This is by Noel Randowich and Devik Jain. This is really interesting. There's been a lot of conversation around Tesla. Where is it going to go stock wise? Is it going to skyrocket? Is it going down? They're having trouble getting, semiconductor chips to even build the cars, right? So if you want to buy a Tesla, you have a problem right now because there's things that they potentially can't put together. So that's a whole issue in the number of desires for purchase. It's it's just a really interesting company. And what's interesting is I did, Seth, I didn't tell you this, but my wife and we went on the Tesla website and we were actually looking at Teslas and just kind of curious about the whole thing because my wife loves cars, which is just hilarious to me. But she loves researching cars.
Kira too.
I love cars too, but I'm just shocked that my wife loves cars, which makes it easy. And
Formula One is her favorite show. I don't know if you've watched that or not, but loves it.
If I tell my wife I want to go buy a car, she'd be like, "Yeah, just go buy it." Which is, I have to pull myself back from that thing. So, but the Teslas, there's only a select few colors. And there's just a select few options. It's not like you go to a dealership and they've got 5 different, companies and brands and this, that, and the other thing, and you can get it in, 12 colors and, there's packages galore. It's like, do you want A, B, or C? It's a very simple process. I was surprised by that.
Sounds nice.
They didn't have the hot pink I was looking for, but that's okay. And but back.
And they offer a lot. Their base models are very different than a base model on another vehicle, right?
I did think it was interesting that there's an upsell. There's upsells on everything, right? But there's a large upsell on how much horsepower they release in the programming of your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's okay. So we're going to sell you a car, but we're not going to give you the whole thing. We're going to hold back.
It's like a performance chip or that kind of an enhancement on how your engine runs or tunes.
What's really interesting, though, for me, I was just thinking about all of these how vehicles are going and stuff and how they can shut vehicles off. But, they can shut gas vehicles off. But I'm just curious about all the technology you're bringing into cars today. This sounds conspiracy theory, but hey, listen, we don't like what you're doing, blah, blah, shut everything down. It's all electric. You couldn't even bypass it because you don't have a gas engine. So we were chatting about that. I thought that was an interesting comment that I had heard, and totally out there, but interesting nonetheless.
Well, it does kind of weave us into what is this reasoning around, the NASDAQ hitting new highs last Wednesday, in Tesla really driving that rally, which is really on this news of them opening solar charging stations. Whether or not they could, like you said, turn it on or off or not. But this is one of those things that the market is responding to and saying, we're gonna go ahead and get behind you on that. And we believe that's a good path forward. A lot of the other moves within the index were, through other companies like NVIDIA or Facebook and some of these real strong drivers in the growth area that had been backed off of in the last year as pandemic stocks really moved through and in different areas of the market, and then market has swung back and said, we're going to go ahead and stick with the momentum piece of what has worked in the past and gotten us those gains in the past, which could be an interesting story. As we talk about differences between value large cap and large cap growth, which is really that sector of the index that pushed things a lot higher.
Yeah, I really think it's interesting. It's in China, this solar charging station for the cars. I think it actually has an electric storage component to this. So, you'll be able to pull in and charge your car at a solar station at night. It's kind of an interesting concept that they have all of that. I'm just curious about the overall. I'm curious about how much it costs to build. I'm also curious about how much oil and gas it costs to build that thing, and how many batteries and how long those things will last. Those are all concerns I have about the environment. Because one of the things as much as I love green energy, I know we've talked about it. We had our energy show. We did a piece on that. But does anyone really comprehend how much oil and gas and coal our world will need to burn at an alarming rate to accomplish even a portion of the green energy that initiative that people are talking about? Do we have any clue? I mean, do we have any idea that, a fast tracking to green energy may actually cause more harm versus spacing it out over time? I'm just thinking about, like, if you're a chain smoker for a period of your life, it's harder to recover than if you're a casual smoker, smoking the same number of cigarettes over a long period of time. How does this, instantaneous run to green energy and the burning of all the fossil fuels that have to happen to get there, how does that impact our environment?
So we're chopping down trees in the Amazon in order to promote green energy is kind of the correlation. I mean, if I understand what you're saying, and not really taking a close look at what is that correlation between, driving towards green energy and at what cost of the environment?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what cost are we going to, every piece of plastic, every piece of metal, all these things take oil and natural gas, and some organizations are using coal to, fire furnace. I mean, there's going to be a lot of carbon emissions just to create this green energy. Does anyone know, at the rampant pace that we would have to burn all of this stuff, how much that would intentionally impact our environment? I mean, think about it. Like, let's say you burn, 10,000 emissions over the course of a year, but all of a sudden we're going to go green energy and we're going to do a bazillion carbon emissions this year. How is that going to impact our environment, or over the next 5 years or 20 years? Because if we ramp all this stuff up, we could be causing, a massive amount of problems before even some of this technology. Because, we all know solar's not quite there yet. It's evolving, it's coming about, but it's not there yet. So anyways, it's just and the batteries don't last forever, and there's problems with, there's a lot of technology that has to be developed, and I think we're going to get there, but at what cost?
Yeah, I have seen some of those things pop up in the newsfeed around, the amount of garbage that is being created with these batteries that are no longer viable for these different purposes, and just
look at California.
A lot of waste.
Look at California, all the green energy initiatives they've done. They're running out of power every year now during the summer. They got poles that are falling down. They haven't maintained any of their stuff. People are suffering. Straight up suffering. So it's a sad, laugh, but it's just kind of laughable that it's just like, hey, all these green initiatives are really, look at Texas, the windmills froze and they had to de-ice them with, petroleum. So, but anyways, next on our list.
Yeah. So, hey, a record buyout is just the start as wealthy flee tax hike. So this is an article in Yahoo Finance. Melissa Karsh, Michael F. Davis, and Devin Pendleton collaborated on this to bring us a little bit of the heads up here, because one of the largest forward-generation private companies, which is the Mills family, for 110 years earned their money by expanding their great-grandfather's Chicago apron business into a medical supplier that ranked among the nation's largest private companies. But basically, the Democrats have turned the attention towards rising taxes for the wealthy this year. And the families decided that, we're going to cash out at the tax rates that we have here and selling to private equity. Consortium
of Wall Street investors.
Yeah,
but I think what's interesting is that there's going to be a lot of tax motivated gains in sales going on this year, in fear of where taxes are going. We all know that. It's part of the open conversation in our economy. I think everyone knows taxes are going up. They just don't know where, they don't know how, and they don't know when that date will be. And, I think we're going to see more of this stuff. A $30 billion move, boom, done, Wall Street. There's a lot of people. And what are they doing this for? They're doing this to reset their cost basis. They're saying we have a huge gain in this company. And if we're at, say they're at a 20% tax rate or 25% tax, whatever that capital gains rate is, 23.8, whatever their number is, right? Well, they can sell it there, but if they know it's going to go up, they're like, well, if we sell it next year, we might lose, if it goes up 10 or 15%, we would lose 10 or 15% of the sale for no reason. Why don't we sell today? Now we have a cost basis, the portion that we've paid taxes on, that's reset. Like if you put $100,000 into something that's worth $1 million, well, your cost basis was $100,000. Now you sell it maybe you pay 15% in taxes. You know, you got $850,000 left, but that's your new cost basis to whatever else you invest in.
This is going to be fascinating. I really wish we had the ability to kind of track the design after this move, because it's certainly it's understandable selling it at this tax rate, creating a new basis. But what are the investment vehicles that are going to come alongside and really be advantageous down the road here for, you know, some of the investors that are selling?
There's probably a lot of things going on here too. There's probably more taxes than even what we're talking about. There's probably depreciation recapture. There's probably a number of things that are going on. There could be real estate involved in this deal. We have no idea, but we do know that this is a motivated sale in fear of taxes. And, you know, at some point in time, they're going to reset their cost basis. You know, they got, you know, I mean, this is like the Mills family. I mean, this thing is like 110 years of investing these funds. I mean, I'm sure the cost basis is pretty much, you know, very, very low, if not quite nil, but it's probably down there, you know. So they're paying a heap load of taxes, but sometimes paying taxes is the cheapest tax you can pay. And I think that's where they're walking through.
Yeah. Hey, last but not least on our list here today, Ben, we've got our favorite Oracle of Omaha, 90-year-old Warren Buffett, that said he will donate $4.1 billion worth of Berkshire Hathaway shares to 5 foundations. And, you know, separate story here, but it's included in the article by Yun Lee on CNBC there for you. Basically, he's going to resign as trustee at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
When I first saw this article, you know, I mean, who knows what's going on? Bill and Melinda are getting divorced and whatever, you know. I mean, I don't care about the garbage in that story.
And they kind of weave it in. I don't know if it's a little. It seems like it's a little fluff in the article here. Some little juicy tidbit.
Yeah, the fact is the guy's resigning from the board. I mean, he was a non-active member. You know, yeah. He was just basically, they were just trying to slap his name on it, and he supposedly agrees with whatever they're doing. I am not a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation friend in any capacity. And so that being out there, you know, they're giving $4.1 billion just, I mean, to that foundation just scares me. But to be completely frank, but he is donating to 4 others as well.
Right. It's going to be split between the 4 others, which are, you know, what, like you said, I think they're all his kids' foundations.
Yeah, it's like the Susan Thompson Buffett Foundation and the other 3 charities his children are involved in. And what they're really doing, what most of the stuff is they donate all their money there, and their children get lifetime board memberships or employment, and they take an income from that's exorbitant and so forth as. And, you know, it's a big loophole for people to donate. And, you know, a portion of that money does go to the charity or whatever charity it is. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like a lifetime pension for these families. So that's really what these things are. And they're just charitable vehicles that people use to wash money. So not necessarily anything wrong with it. We've done it. We've helped people build charity programs. And I was actually surprised in the article, Seth, that he was a non-active member. He said he hadn't really done anything, but I think it was his last board membership resignation, which I thought was interesting, other than Berkshire. That's something to be noted, but I think there probably is, like, he's 90 years old. I mean, the guy's like, I got to wind down.
Yeah, so this is like half of the shares that he's held, and he's dedicated this since 2006. He's made 16 annual contributions to the 5 foundations. The contributions total $41 billion when dispersed. However, the remaining shares that are half of those shares that he holds today are worth about $100 billion. I mean, that's just an absolutely incredible amount of money. And, you know, it's an interesting way that it's an interesting path forward that Warren has chose to move the money on and dedicate those funds in comparison to the one that we just, you know, read about, which was the complete and total sale of a company. Very different on a private equity versus public, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, I think there's enough said here, but, you know, I appreciate his desire for philanthropy, but I probably wish it went to a better cause.
Hey, I will not argue that point with you, but I'll look forward to arguing some of the points down the road here because we're going to get a fair and balanced perspective here. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Don't go anywhere because we're going to talk about the art of independent property and casualty insurance with Sarah Vezzani and Eric Morton. Can't wait to get into that with you. It's going to be a really fun conversation with these guys.
Two great people. Just great people.
So much fun.
I know.
Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to Money on Tap. Hey folks, Seth Cressman, Brayshaw Financial Group is our company, and we bring to you Money on Tap. I say we, that's Ben and I. We have a lot of fun doing this show. And one of the things that we love about doing Money on Tap is that our goal for you to have access to the financial planning world. How do we think? What are we doing? What are we talking about? Raising the bar of your financial education. It's so critical. And that's what we're doing here. The other side of this is as well, we're financial planners. If you are looking to work with a financial planner, if you want to have that playbook for you to understand the important things right now and how you're going to get to your goals or how you're going to retire successfully, that's what we're doing as well. If you have $250,000 of investable assets, give us a call. It's free to you, and it is worth your time to pick up that phone and give us a call and discover what complete wealth management looks like. Ben and I are excited about the opportunity to partner with you and give you that financial plan that's going to make the next step so much better understood and get you where you need to go.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Folks, today we are very fortunate and excited to have Sarah Vezzani with Brayshaw Financial Group, leading our property and casualty department over there in the Northeast, as well as Eric Morton, principal at Brayshaw Financial Group with the property and casualty insurance division of Brayshaw Financial Group. Welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us. Good to be back.
Yes, thanks, Seth. We're excited to be here.
It's nice having Sarah in the actual studio, which is good.
I'm jealous.
If you're actually where you are, where your background says you are, Eric, you've got nothing to be jealous about there.
I know.
It's not true. False background. False flag.
I can't hear the waves. They look crashing, but I can't hear anything.
We know it's a false background then.
It's a mindset.
So, folks, today's show, guess what? We're going to be talking about the art of independent property and casualty insurance. Believe it or not, this is really an exciting topic to start to get into. It's one of the places that we feel strongly that people need to really start their financial journey. You know, and most people, we would say, start out buying a car or, you know, having that experience and realizing, oh yeah, I'm required to have something here. But the full expression of, you like how I did that? Used an artistic term there for property and casualty insurance. I don't know if there's property and casualty impressionists. Like, I don't know if that's like what kind of art there is in property and casualty, but it is. It is truly a form of art, the way that you guys get into the details and how you work with the clients and how you help them.
I think of Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day.
Oh, no.
Ned? Is that you? Let's talk life insurance.
I guess before we really get into a lot of we want to find out more about you guys personally, because it's you guys are are wonderful to have here with us. And we want to spend some time learning about your background and why that really brings to the table some significance and understanding around the property and casualty world and how to navigate that with your clients and really help them out to the fullest. But before we get there, I want to just let people know you can reach Sarah and you can reach Eric at the same number, 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Super simple. And spend some time with them and uncover more about how you can really take advantage of who Sarah and Eric are and how much they know about this industry and the relationships that they've really created through the years of dedicating themselves here for their clients and their businesses.
Yeah, and I think starting off here, I'd really like to dive in a little bit with Eric and just talk a little bit about some of the relationships in kind of the higher end where he manages those relationships with a various number of carriers. We don't just work with one carrier. We do three-dimensional investing. We do the concept of a broad reach of, opportunities and investments, but we also do that in the insurance side. And I think that's important. And I think the reason we have these relationships and so many of them is the depth at which we do insurance, because we're not even getting into some of the more detailed, more tax incentive-based types of insurance work that we do. In just trying to really help people in managing businesses separate from just their personal side. So having kind of that larger spectrum allows us really to dive in. And I just turn that over to Eric and just let him start there.
Yeah, it really goes hand in hand with the type of planning that you guys do. It's why it's our relationships worked out so well is being able to access pretty much any carrier across the country in any state. There are some limitations. My background was coming from a captive insurance agency that I've spoken to in the past on here, but you really just have one option. So some of those, larger carriers you see advertised, or carriers or companies, I should say, are interchangeable there. They only have one price for you. The independent planning like that you guys do and we do through the property casualty side of Brayshaw Financial allows us to know which companies are raising rates, knows which companies have the best options for the client's risk management strategy. And therefore, you're going to pay the right rate. And it allows you to have control over your money rather than just completely sending it off to the insurance company to invest. You have the ability to gain that profit instead of passing it all on. So that's one of the biggest advantages. Personal insurance, home auto, everybody's familiar with, but also on the commercial side, there's just a lot more that we can speak to and offer through that independent model.
No, that's great. Eric, do you want to speak to a number of the name brand carriers, maybe even specifically that you guys tend to do business with? I think it's good for our listeners to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the main ones that people would recognize are Allstate, Safeco, Progressive, Travelers, Hartford, and Main Street America. It's another one that's more of a locally started company, but we have all those at our disposal. Those are the ones that people would most be able to recognize, and then that runs the gamut of where you are as a risk profile for those companies. So if you've got a lot of tickets, a lot of accidents, we have a certain company in that state. Your perfect driver, like myself and Seth, then we've got the right company there that's going to give you the advantage.
I'm going to need that advantage. I'm going to need that advantage.
I noticed you didn't say our names, Ben.
No, I noticed that too. It was specific.
I think that the in-studio connection you guys have there, I figured me and Seth needed a little love. So.
Absolutely. Well, no speeding tickets for a while for me, thank goodness. But I am deserving of one, I'm sure, many times. So that being spoken of, I want to introduce Sarah Vezzani. She's a director of our PNC here in New England, and she has been fantastic. Sarah's been with us a little over a year, which has been great, and has just been a huge resource to our clients and done wonders for all of them on a lot of levels, getting phone calls left and right actually about the savings, the opportunities, and the kind of the mistakes she's discovered that people have had in some of their policies, which is really actually great to hear. And we do. We work with clients in lots of different financial realms, both people who are struggling and people who have plenty. But the capacity to try to save money and to build strong budgets and to be good stewards is something that we believe and passionately, want our clients to enjoy and realize the freedom that does. So, having somebody like Sarah has been great. So, Sarah, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in the business and how long you've been doing this? Sure.
Too long. If I tell you, you'll know my real age. So I started in the business
2 years,
22 years ago. So insurance I pretty much grew up here. I didn't do very much before insurance. It was my first real job in quotations, and it's where I stayed. I stayed for a number of reasons, but the main reason that I stayed in insurance all of these years was the fantastic relationships I made as a result of getting to know my clients. There's nothing like having those conversations. So if you imagine, you spoke of, Eric, when someone first gets a car, so their very first car. So I get to see that person add on in their first apartment. Then I get to see that person buy a house with their future significant other and then add more cars and then have kids. And so following people throughout their life like that, the relationships are kind of what has kept me in here all these years. And I do want to say thanks to Seth for calling it an art, because I've never been called an artist in my life before. So today is a great day.
Good with language.
Right. Making friends here today.
I know.
I like it.
Yeah.
So Sarah, tell us, what is, as far as the independent world and, really what you have this access to and kind of like having maybe more of a holistic approach or the availability of a holistic approach. Can you give us maybe a couple of examples of where that's led you to really have some impact or help your clients?
Sure. I can speak confidently that since I came from the direct writer world initially, there were a lot of opportunities over the years that were lost, and I had to refer out a lot of business over the years to other people who had products that were a better fit for a client than I did. And I have not had to do that once in the last 14 months. So I know for sure that I'm able to help people, not just save money. But if you think about it this way, there are sometimes you have so I sell pet insurance. We have pet insurance, right? So you have this dog, and before I didn't have that opportunity. We have, if you buy a really fancy boat this time of year, not that you can get them in as we talked about earlier, but if you were lucky enough to locate a boat that is for sale this year, then we have lots of carriers that have options for larger boats than I used to be able to do. So those things that's just... It's awesome to be able to do that for all of the clients, to be able to get them exactly what they need and be able to take care of them all under one umbrella.
Folks, you're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking more with Sarah and Eric about property and casualty insurance. And this is going to be fun. We're going to get into some of the how and why and some of the misnomers around property and casualty insurance for you. You're listening to Money on Tap. We'll be right back.
If you're listening today and, your questions are outside the box of estate planning or financial planning or any number of the pieces that we kind of traditionally talk about, don't forget that Brayshaw Financial offers auto, home, and business insurance. And we have an entire department that handles all of that for you. Give us a call at 855-226-8551 and be happy to take care of those needs for you. Or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And we are talking about today the art of Independent Property and Casualty Insurance, and Sarah Vezzani and Eric Morton with us today. Thank you both for joining us. It's really an honor to have you on Money on Tap with us, and we also have a lot of fun with you outside of the studio as well. Could you please lead us in the direction of, well, the review, the how, the why, and the art form of property and casualty?
Well, I'll start off. Typically, insurance is something that everybody loves and wants to talk about at all times. I'm sure everybody listening is thinking, yes, I love it.
If they're still listening.
It's a necessity. It's something that's required by law, as it comes down to. You've got some people that I have some folks on the spectrum that are just, not interested in anything insurance, want to pay the least amount possible, and I've got others that really understand it and help protect assets. So one of the most common misnomers is, I've got to wait till my policy renews to look at this. And that's just not the case. You actually can look at it at any time. We've been able to save folks in some cases for annual premium overall close to $2,000 in some cases. And the sooner you make a switch midterm, the sooner you can realize those savings and invest them properly with your financial planner.
Ooh,
so
I like that.
Yeah,
I want to say that again.
Yeah, I know. It's just the sooner you can get those savings, you can invest them with your financial planner.
Hey, you're welcome to keep saying that and dropping that one throughout the show. Just feel free. Go ahead.
So no, in all jest though, in all seriousness though, I think that's important for people to hear is that, insurance is not something that you just buy and everyone's selling the same box. It's not the same, you walk to the store and you want a backpack. It's like, well, there's 5 different colors. It doesn't work that way. They're not all backpacks that carry the same thing or do the same thing. The problem is some people are buying the wrong size backpack. They're buying either too small, too big, not enough pockets, too many pockets. I mean, and the problem is that people, obviously we, in the insurance world gets paid on the amount of premium. So if someone's overselling you a bigger backpack with lots of pockets, well, then on some level you're overpaying. And I think people don't understand what insuring a specific risk really is, understanding that risk, and then applying the right cost to it. I mean, people are either over-insuring one area and under-insuring something that they might be really liable for and still paying way more premium. And that's just a big problem.
Yeah, we get lots of calls that say, I just want apples to apples coverage. And so I pause and I say, do you know how many different kinds of apples are out there? I mean, really, think about it. You go to this store and there's an entire section of apples. So let's just go kind of rewind back and ask some simple questions to dive into think about what are we really trying to offer them? What do we really want to give them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want the Granny Smith policy or do you want the Fuji? You've got to make that decision. We help you. We help guide you to the best tasting insurance.
Well, I think that's really where this is really important. This is why, this is why we have Sarah. This is why we have Eric. This is why we provide this is because essentially, if we don't have people that we really trust doing this stuff, we get lost in the shuffle, and we know that this is a major expense for people that they have to make sure they're properly covered. Because if I have a client who's not properly covered in their coverage areas of whatever liabilities they have, then all the planning we do could be for naught. And a lot of people don't realize that, we have to kind of make sure that all those pieces are in place so that when we're doing our financial planning, that something doesn't come sliding into second base and take us out. I mean, that's really that's the big concern, right? I mean, God forbid you hit a school bus of children, but, are you properly covered? Because if you're not, you could be bankrupt. And that's a big issue. It really
is. And so playing off of that, when's a good time to review? And it really is any time. But a lot of times people will just default to a major life instance. Sarah mentioned it earlier. The reason she loves what she does is she's helping people as kids are getting their license or a new baby's born or there's a new home purchase or marriage or in some cases, dissolving the marriage for good reasons. They being there to be able to help people navigate through those life events is what it's all about. And those don't wait for renewals. So we had a pretty large event last year. I don't know if anybody remembers. It was what's it called again? COVID.
I think that's what it was.
And that didn't, that wasn't waiting for renewals. So some of the ways that we were able to add value immediately was businesses affected, families affected, where their life has changed. They're staying home more often. They're not driving into work. So that means, your rate should go down. Your mileage changes. The risk changes. There's not as many accidents. And, we're coming out of that again now, but just being able to be flexible, doing that review at the right time, and having someone that's here to help you pay the right amount, not necessarily looking for that commission.
And how about those home improvements? So if anyone tried to buy anything to do home improvements lately, so if you think about that, the cost to rebuild your home right now is incredibly higher than it used to be, right? Not just labor costs have gone up, the cost of building material has tripled. Ugh. So if you're sitting there with if you insured your home for the purchase price 3 years ago, then you are definitely underinsured and should be giving us a shout to make sure you're properly covered, and then we'll make sure you're not paying any more than you have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've talked about, and this, I love the idea of having the right coverage and having better coverage and saving money and being able to do all of those things in one, place that you can get all of those pieces put together. But to be fair and balanced here, right? There's not always that situation or scenario, because, somebody could be coming in and having a conversation and saying, this is where I'm at, this is what I have, and taking a look at that. They might, for instance, Ben talking about the school bus incident. They really could have some exposure in areas and not realizing how much risk they're taking on. And at the end of it all, really get a much fuller coverage in place. But, at the end of the day, increasing their expenses too, which is not the idea that most people have walking in the door, what they want. But at the end of the day, these are places and areas that, given an option and given an understanding the full potential and parameters of those risks, are you willing to take? And people just don't even know. How do you guys work through that situation to really help people understand this is where you're at, and we're not necessarily telling you have to go do this thing over here and buy insurance. We're not sell insurance, but really understanding the scope of where people are at right now and where they're heading.
I think it's the education of what could happen. So everybody wants to save money on insurance. And I do think that it's important to know what you're paying for. So when you go into the store and you buy a bottle of water, you choose it based on what it looks like, what flavor you like. And so I want to make sure that I tailor it to them. And when we look at that middle number of bodily injury, that needs to be able to protect them so that they don't lose their house, that we don't garnish a paycheck if they get into an accident, and they're found to be liable, negligent for that accident. So that is a huge piece of it, is making sure that we're properly protecting, educating them on what could happen if they're not, and then just asking them which situation they'd rather be in. They ultimately make the decision, and no, we won't force anybody to do anything. But a lot of times we will find that people who have higher bodily injury limits, so that liability portion that covers you, people who have higher limits, they actually pay less over the years. And the reason why is insurance companies like it when you come to them with higher limits. They see you as a responsible individual trying to protect yourself. It's a fun insurance tidbit.
You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyandtap.com. And we are talking with Sarah Vezzani and Eric Morton today about property and casualty insurance. Matter of fact, we're talking about the art of independent property and casualty insurance. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Folks, it is so much fun for us to bring you Money on Tap. My name's Seth Kressman, and I am one of the hosts here at Money on Tap. I'm also a financial planner. That's what we do. That's what Ben and I do. And the fun part is we get to have this radio show. We talk about important things that we think you need to listen to and be aware of to help raise the bar as far as your financial literacy. It's a big part of what we're trying to do here. The other thing that we're doing here as well, As financial planners, we are welcoming you to come and call us and to join us at Brayshaw Financial Group. Experience what complete wealth management looks like. Let's take a look at all sides of the issue, get a three-dimensional perspective, and put a plan around your next step. It's so critical. And so many people just leave this part out and then they find out later, oh, if I only would have known. Hey, don't let that be your story. Give us a call at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. If you have $250,000 of investable assets today, our plan is free to you. We think it's important for you to know the facts and have a playbook so you can have a successful retirement. Give us a call at 855-226-8551. Thanks for listening.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. You know what? We're going to start to decompress a little bit here and land the plane with Eric and Sarah talking about the art of independent property and casualty insurance. Right now, we are getting into summertime, and you guys kind of put together some interesting ideas around, what are people doing in terms of insurance, and what are the things that they, I don't know, maybe haven't thought of, or the new things that are on their plate that they can be looking at for their insurance needs.
Well, number one, I want to jump in and say that if you're taking your bike out of the garage, uncovered it, fueled it up, and taken it on the road, make sure you put the coverage back on. So those are important things. If you had storage coverage.
Is this my bicycle?
Yes, your motorcycle.
Motorcycle.
It could be these days.
Yes, that's all.
They've got those electric bikes now.
That's a great point.
Electric bikes now are $8,000 to $10,000, and yes, you do need to have proper coverage for those things. Maybe not the liability kicking in, but some others.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about the electric bikes. Yeah.
They're expensive.
They are expensive. Well, so I think the summer concept is there's a lot of things being missed in the summer, but I think ultimately I think about all the different pieces of summer life, and wrapping that stuff together. 'Cause a lot of people have a lot of toys. I mean, I like toys. They're fun. I like four-wheelers. I like boats. I like all those things. They're great. But there's a lot of risk to those types of things, and share a little bit more about, summer concerns. I mean, how do you guys dig out to try to body this whole thing together and work through those components for clients?
So one of the things that we do when we're doing the review, especially seasonal review, is if we've got a relationship with the client that long term, we're gonna set up that phone call in about March, April. Let's discuss what plans your family has for the summer. Are you going to activate that boat on the water? Are you going to keep it in this year and take the RV out instead? And you can pull the levers of the policies that you need to activate for different events. So we've got insurance companies that will allow us to garage, keeping just coverage for if that tree falls on it or the snowstorm comes in, the ice storm, and some issue happens with the home. You've got the value covered, but you don't have that liability exposure. So we're nimble enough to be able to have that conversation with people. It's just a matter of getting an idea of what do you have? What are you hiding in that garage or barn that you don't want your insurance agent to know about?
Yeah. Like a golf cart? I wouldn't even have thought that this is something. I mean, side by side, yeah, I would definitely think that. But golf cart?
Yeah, we do golf carts.
Yeah, golf cart needs to be listed, and not just for the value. It's friends. Your kids' friends are over. They're playing around on it. Someone falls off. They, heaven forbid, land on a rock or something, and then you've got issues.
Typically, toys that aren't registered they'll be covered for liability, right, Eric? So they'll be covered while you're on your property. But the minute you edge over onto the neighbor's property or those trails that are state owned in the back, that's where the problem really comes into play.
Never done that.
Yeah.
What about the pool? If you're hiding the pool in the barn, have you come across that much?
Pool in the barn. I haven't seen the pool in the barn.
No, I've heard of a pole barn. but not a pool barn.
Yeah.
The umbrella, maybe I'll tee this up for Sarah. Let's talk about when it rains and you need an umbrella.
The umbrella, I always tell people it's literally your umbrella. So it sits over you and all the things that you love in life that you spent a lot of money building up. There's an umbrella that protects you, and that is the excess liability on top of your auto insurance, your home insurance, and any miscellaneous toys, as Ben's calling them. So any of those things. So it sits over and it protects you, and it gives you additional liability in the event that you were to be found negligent in an accident. So it is a wonderful thing to have, especially when you do have teenagers coming over. You have friends driving the ATV. You can be more responsible. You know what you're in control of. But if someone else is using your stuff, then it's important to have that.
I'm not saying that we have any toys we haven't disclosed, Eric, but I should give you a call after this.
I'm taking notes every time his eyes go up.
It's funny. I'll go out to do a survey or kind of look at property and almost every time I do that with a client, I'm like, when'd you get that?
5 years ago.
Yeah, they're like, you didn't think to tell me about that snow machine.
Or the vicious dog greets you at the front door. When did you get that?
Yeah, our dog weighs like 3 pounds.
How about the stove that they installed in the middle of the shop without anybody really?
Yeah, just put it together themselves. Watched a YouTube video, just put it right up, no problems.
Why wouldn't I do that?
One thing that I've heard you guys say a couple times in this show is renewal, anniversary, review. I mean, I've heard all of those words multiple times. And I think for our listeners, you may have a review coming up. You may have an anniversary coming up. You may be wondering about your insurance and saying, I don't really know where to go or who to even ask if, I'm properly covered. We have an outlet here for you to get those answers and to really understand what you have and do a comparison. You may not be a client of Brayshaw Financial Group from a standpoint of financial planning, but you can engage us for your insurance stuff and ask and find out from Sarah and Eric, what does this look like? And, what do you think about my insurance coverage? This is what's going on. Am I paying too much? Am I paying too little? Am I, in other words, not covered enough for what risks I really entail? But if you have a review or an annual renewal period coming up, you can call in now, and if it's in November, we can give you a call in September or October to do that so you're ready to make decisions when the time comes. That's something that you would plan ahead of time. But if you're in the middle of one, you can change out if it makes sense and the math works in your favor. And I would encourage you to do that. Get on our calendar and try to figure this out, because I got to be honest with you, there's not a lot of people that I feel do this with excellence. But I do feel that Sarah and I am biased, Sarah and Eric do it, and that's why they're here. That's why they're our partners in this process. So, give us a buzz. Contact Deb right at the front desk. She'll answer the phone 90% of the time. She'll get you on the calendar, get you a Zoom meeting, get you an in-face meeting, whatever looks for your needs. And if you own a business, absolutely give us a call, because this is definitely the place to evaluate your business coverages. We have helped so many companies like that. That's my tag.
One of the things you just, I think you really covered well there, Ben, is the independent perspective. We really, truly value that at our heart, that's what we are. We're an independent advisory, so that we're able to go ahead out into the universe of what's available and bring it to you. And also the three-dimensional investing. And you may not look at this from, property and casualty insurance as an investment, but it really truly is. When you're putting your hard-earned dollars towards property and casualty insurance for protection, you are really investing in that process of you and building you, the enterprise of your business, or who you are, to protect whatever else we have coming down, this investment corridor for you. So that's one of the things we really focus here on Money on Tap, and we love that we've had some time to talk about a different aspect around investing, protecting you, and how we do that here. So thanks a lot, you guys. It's been a pleasure having you on with us.
Thanks so much, Seth.
Happy to be here.
You've been listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We've enjoyed the show today. We've been grateful for you for joining us. We thank you for calling us and giving us an opportunity to speak into your life and be trusted advisors with you. That's something we hold really sacred And we want to appreciate you for that. So thank you so much. And we just also want to appreciate you for allowing us to be who we are and have fun with what we do on a daily basis, which is financial planning. You can also find us at Facebook. We're at /3D Investing. We're also on Twitter at BFG_LLC. And as always, you can also find us at yourmoneyontap.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking our podcast. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to make it a great day and a great life with you here at Money on Tap.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.
Well, bye.